Penultimate Takeover Tour recap. Can you believe we've got 2 more days to do? It feels crazy. It literally feels crazy how the tour is pretty much almost done. I mean, we go back to the start of November when the tour's announced. There's 16 on the card this time. Wow, it sounds like a lot. You know, it won't feel like it goes quick, but it kind of has. I don't know if that's because obviously we've had also the Olympics in between. Me personally, of course, were actually in Minneapolis and also in Denver for one of those Takeover Tour games. Plus we've had 5 in a row since we've come back from the States, so it's all been crazy. But yeah, can't believe there's just 2 more of these to do, and then we need to start thinking about that big show we did in the summer last year where Lady came on and we basically all just picked highlights from each of those games. We are going to do that again this summer, so keep an eye out for that. That will be definitely coming at the end of the regular season when all is said and done. So we're really excited about that. Really excited about that. Yeah, so here we are. So penultimate stop in Calgary. This was the game that Lady was the most excited for because, like me, she knows her women's hockey history, and Calgary played a huge factor, particularly in the days of centralisation for the Canadian national team. So, and there's also been a huge history with Calgary, you know, with hockey, you know, with the Calgary Inferno and all that. So this was the one that Lady was really, really excited for, and I kept saying to her in the road trip each time when before the trip, I kept saying to her, right, yeah, I'm really happy that Calgary's hosting the game too, but at the same time I can't get too excited for the potential prospects for Calgary because chances are, you know, with the Saladome packed as it is, I'm not really sure if Calgary is going to be able to land a team. I don't know. I mean, they already have the Wranglers, the AHL. They've also got the WHL in there. They've got loads of heads in that barn. So Calgary, I kind of look at it and think maybe that's going to be just a market where we just get, you know, Takeover Tour games annually rather than an actual team because of the way it works. And I think if we look at Alberta, it might be Edmonton who might be more in line to land the Alberta team, but I personally would think Calgary and Edmonton would both work, but obviously it's the question of what is going to be more practical, what's actually going to be the right thing to do. Yeah, but of course we did learn coming back from the trip about the World Cup locations and that Calgary is going to be hosting a portion of it, and it's going to be a brand new arena. So apparently next season is the Flames' last in the Saladome. I don't know what that means for the Wranglers, but we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so in 2027-28, the Flames are going to be moving to a brand new arena, and that's, for me and Lady, has now given us new reignited hope that maybe a PHL Calgary team could do what, you know, what Ross have done with the Wild, what the Stars did with the Devils, of course this year what the Toronto done with the Kraken, and just do that. So we've not given up hope on Calgary, but we are, of course, yeah, managing expectations in this trio. But so an incredible game, a huge game. I basically saw this as like this Battle Ontario in Alberta sequel, because remember last year we had the Sceptres Charge play in Edmonton, and I think when we were in Edmonton, the Sceptres won that one. I think that's what the Sceptres did. It was quite a close game last year. So, and this season, since Battle Ontario and Alberta matchup was a huge one, because obviously there are plenty on the line. The Sceptres have got about 6 games left, and half of those are against the Charge. And I think if we're talking about that final spot it looks like it could be either the Sceptres or the Charge, who are the more likely candidates to lock in that spot. But the Sirens are still trying to make a ruckus. The Golden Eyes are still trying to make a last-minute push. So you can't rule anything out until we get the word about the clinch scenarios and who's been eliminated and all that stuff. Yeah. So the Charge and Sceptres are going to meet 3 times in the final stages of this regular season, and that potentially could be the deciding factor. They're also going to be playing each other again on the last of the season. What is it with this league? That's 3 seasons in a row now where the Charge and Sceptres' last game has been against each other. And both times so far, it's had huge playoff implications. Obviously, in season 1, the Ottawa needed to lose that game in order for us to clinch, and then season 2 last year, Ottawa, the Charge needed to win that game in TO to secure their playoff spot, which of course they did, and we know what happened there. But yeah, so this was a huge game in Calgary, because obviously, if either team could squeak out a regulation win, that would be a huge boost to their campaign. Now, coming into this, the Charge held that number 4 spot, and the Sceptres were in 5th place, but they were not that far behind. The Charge were on 33, the Sceptres were on 31, so it's just 2 points was all that's separating those 2 teams right now. So if either team could have got a regulation win in this game, that would be a huge boost in their attempts to try and get a push into the playoffs, especially how Toronto have got a game against us coming up towards the end of the... In fact, it's our last home game is against T.O, so that's going to be a big game for T.O, so obviously I've not checked what the rest of the team's schedules look like, but I know obviously T.O got one against us coming up. Ottawa done with us for the season, so yeah, this is it. Yeah, but this game in Calgary was a really intense night. Now apparently in Calgary, the Ottawa Charge's logo got put on centre ice, which is kind of a nice thing to do. And we saw back in January when the Sceptres played the Torrent, we saw that Hamilton did put the Takeover Tour logo on their centre ice, which I wasn't surprised that happened, because obviously T Coliseum, it's just been recently renovated. It hasn't got anybody. Well, at the time, it didn't have anybody who's going to be making that place home. There is now. We are going to cover that. Starting next season, the soon-to-be relocated Bridgeport Islanders will call that building their home. So I think that's a bit too massive for the AHL, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep a very close eye on that. We're going to do an episode on that, because it will impact, obviously, what we think about Hamilton's chances of landing us back at team. Yeah, so I felt back again, I kind of felt, Hamilton, you're really showing me, if you watch that Takeover Tour recap back, you'll know how I was very impressed with Hamilton, and how I kind of felt that to me that was then showing me that you're serious about wanting to get the PHL in your city, because you've gone and put the Takeover Tour logo on Sarah Ice, which I think is something we should be seeing in all Takeover Tour games, whether you're in an AHL venue or not. So I couldn't really make it out clear that was there. Apparently somebody did post it on social. In fact, it's Ian Kennedy posted it on social media. I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I couldn't really see it clearly, but again, I am still whacked for the jet lag. This, I think, has got to be one of my worst cases of jet lag ever. It's really bad. It's really taking quite the toll on me. So I was still quite whacked from last night. We just had a bit of a stressful night in Newark, so I had to immediately head to that game, which I had to then do on the delay, because obviously Argentina didn't finish in time. So we had to basically start the Takeover Tour on the delay, and then we managed to catch up just before the second period was about to start. So we did catch up eventually, but it was quite a but I'd like to see that for next going forward, is because obviously these Takeover Tour games, they are regular season games in the PHL, and somebody does class as the home team. So I think next season, in all Takeover Tour games. I don't care whether you're on an NHL venue or not. Whoever's the home team for that Takeover Tour game, put their logo on centre ice. Okay, it's just for one game. I know you can get these done in quick time. You know, okay, so yeah, put wants to do an episode on centre ice logos, which I think we'll do at the end of the regular season. It's kind of a silly little thing that we done at the end during the off season, so we'll let him do that in the summer. That's the first time he's come up with an idea for an episode, so we'll let him do it in the summer. But we can add that to his list of reasons why you should potentially do that. We'll see how it goes. Go forward. See how it goes. Yeah, so I thought that was a nice thing for Calgary to do. At the same time thinking, okay, so you put the home team's logo on centre ice. Is that your way of trying to bid for a team, Calgary? I mean, we know you could do it. We know you've got the history, but is that a little subtle hint for something maybe in return? I know. But quite a nice gesture that was. So let's see that going forward in future. Or just put the Takeover Tour logo on, for God's sake. Okay, just do something to show that we are visiting you. We are your guests. You wanted to make us feel homely, rather than just here's our arena. How about it? Leave it where you found it. All right, just Wonder that will fire Edmonton up next week. Because obviously we don't know how that Providence is when it comes to hockey. Right. We'll get into it now. So, I know what you're thinking, why is he stalling? We'll get into it now, shall we? So yeah, here we go. So we're going to break right now. So Toronto takes down Ottawa 2-1 in PWHL's Calgary debut. The Toronto Sceptres skated to a 2-1 victory over the Ottawa Charge in front of 16,150 fans at Wednesday night at Scotiabank Salado in the DoorDash PWHL Takeover Tour. I should say that is now the highest attendance in Canada on the tour this season. Of course, that is just second behind DC's record breaker back in January. So of the Canadian teams, Calgary is at the top, and Washington overall is still up there. No one's going to beat Washington. You had opportunity, Calgary, because I know Calgary get to 19,000, but that was really good. I'm really impressed. Lady B were really impressed by that. Even Plum's been blown away by it, because he keeps saying, oh, it's a good night in Calgary. And I keep saying to him, your tone basically sounds like you're surprised. I think he's just written Calgary off. No room in the inn. Goes to the stable. That's the way he's seeing Calgary. That's the way Plum views Calgary. There's no room in the inn. Go and use the stable. Sorry, it is Maundy Thursday here in England, so you have to make it religious competition fair. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So we're recording this the day before Good Friday, by the way, just in case you're wondering what that reference is. I won't explain Maundy Thursday now because we're just still as it is. Yeah, but that was a really impressive crowd. We had heard before that was good numbers in Calgary, which is really, really good. And we add that to the other 14. We are almost at the 200,000 mark for this tour, attendance-wise, overall. So that could be really, really good if we can get that over the line, Everton, next week. So that'd be really good. Yeah, I was really impressed with Calgary's efforts there in terms of getting the fans in, and that was just really good to see. So really pleased with that Calgary done quick there. I'll carry on. So the Stampede City's first ever taste of PWHL action was another competitive chapter between the league's Ontario rivals, separated by just 1 point in the standings. Must got those numbers wrong. Hold on. Did I get those numbers wrong? Are we going to do some mental maths? No, I was correct. I was correct. It's clearly, as we've seen a lot in these recaps, whoever writes the articles doesn't proofread their stuff. So that's what's happened here. No, I was right. That's wrong. Don't throw me off when I'm massively jet lagged still. I'll do that again because that's a typo. That is a typo. So I'm going to do that bit again. It's season 3, guys. Proofread your articles before you publish them. Jesus. Right, I'm going to do that line again. So, the Stampede City's first ever taste of PWHL action was another competitive chapter between the league's Ontario rivals, separated by just 2 points in the standings. Well, now it is 1. But yeah, just by 2 points, with T.O climbing ahead of Ottawa into 4th place tonight. The line of Maggie Connors, Claire Dalton and Captain Blair Turnbull provided the entire Sceptres offense, each with 2-point performances, and Reagan Kirk returned from a 2-game absence to turn aside 28 of 29 shots. Vanusa Kadinova scored Ottawa's lone goal, and where Virts made 22 saves in defeat. Connors opened the scoring when she drove hard to the net and tapped in a Turnbull pass at 3:34 the first period. Kadinova showcased her lethal shot with a top shelf laser from inside the circle to even the score at 18:34. After the second period, Dalton's first goal as a Sceptre was the difference maker just 57 seconds into the third period. Sparked when Turnbull forced an offensive zone turnover, which she fed Connors into the slot, who was denied by a spectacular save, but Dalton pounced on the rebound to cash in the winner. Ottawa's top-ranked power play was denied on 4 opportunities tonight, including once late in the third period, as Kirk stood tall to earn her 7th win of the season. Ottawa is right back in action Friday night. That's gonna be a huge game for Ottawa because it's gonna be at CTC. It's a huge one, especially with the situation going on in Ottawa right now. So that's a huge one coming up on Good Friday for Ottawa. Huge one there. And they're going to be hosting the Victoire, who have just clinched their spot in the postseason for the 3rd year in a row. Hopefully we'll be joining them in that category very soon. T.O.'s next game, however, and I can't believe this. T.O.'s next game again is against Ottawa, one of 2 more in the PWHL's Battle of Ontario, next Saturday at Coca-Cola Coliseum. How do you have a 10-day break with only about, 4 weeks left to go in the regular season? It's madness! It's madness! I mean, early in the season, yeah, fine. And if you are new to the PWHL, you will find a lot of teams do get a lot of these bye weeks quite often. They do tend to be quite lengthy. But to have one at this late stage in the game, and especially when there are teams below you who technically could still strike, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. But that's the way it goes, I'm afraid. That's the way the cookie crumbles. As I mentioned, the Takeover Tour concludes on April the 7th. That's next Tuesday, guys. In Edmonton, at Rogers Place, with Boston against Vancouver. So that's going to be Vancouver's 2nd appearance to Edmonton. They didn't do that badly, did they, first? I mean, I know they went up against odds, but I don't think Vancouver played that badly in that game. At that time, Vancouver had only lost 1 home game. So that was technically Vancouver's only 2nd loss at home. So I felt the Golden Eyes played quite well. Obviously, they're going to have a even tougher test because they're going to be facing Boston, a team they haven't really done that well against this season. And Boston, of course, highly likely going to be league champions, highly likely going to be picking their so far opponents in a few weeks' time. So they'll probably go into that game looking to try to solidify, knowing that the Victoire aren't actually that too far behind. So, yeah. But anyway, the Takeover Tour will conclude next Tuesday in Alberta. Right, we're going on to the quotes now. Then we'll do the freestyle again, and I'll finish off with some bar thoughts of my own. So let's get to the quotes. We're going to start with T.O. First up is their captain Blair Turnbull on playing in Calgary. This is what I should say. I thought it was amazing to play here in Calgary with that crowd. I played here with the Inferno 10 years ago, and just to see how much our sport has grown and the platform we now have and the attention that we've drawn from so many people has been incredible. I think the crowd here tonight at the Salado really showed that. Okay, next we're going to hear from T.O.'s head coach Troy Ryan on the importance of the penalty kill going 4 for 4. This is what to say. Obviously, it was a huge 3 points. To be able to shut them down on the power play is key. With what went on in the PWHL tonight, obviously tough with New York finding a way to score and win in overtime. Yeah, less said about that the Bird guys. I think that made it even more important for us to get these points tonight. Penalty kill did a great job, and these two in particular did a wonderful job. Okay, now to Ottawa now. First up is their captain. Oh, we're getting both captains tonight! So we've got Brianne Denner on playing for the young women at the Futures, what should I say. And it's obviously amazing to see them in the crowd, and you know that they have a league that they can aspire to be a part of. Growing up, we had the Olympics. We could watch every 4 years, but there wasn't too much on television after that. No HBOs. Now it seems like every other night there's women's hockey on television, so it's pretty amazing. And finally, we're going to hear from Ottawa head coach Carla Cloud on the first PHL game played in her hometown. She had about 200 tickets reserved for friends and family. Her parents were in the crowd, so there's plenty of people from the McLeod clan in tonight. Let's hear what she had to say. The crowd was all in on this game. These takeover tours are always enjoyable, but certainly it's very special when you come home and you know Sarah was a nurse and I probably spent a lot of time with family and friends, which is special. I'm excited about where this league is going in different markets. I think Calgary is such a great hockey market with rich history with the Inferno, the Extreme, and the Classics before that. It was fun to be able to play here and bring our product to this city. I'm going to finish with the 3 stars of the game, and they were as follows. So the third star was Fenuza Cadnova, Ottawa, 1 goal. Second star, Blair Turnbull, Toronto, 2 assists. And the first star, Claire Dalton, Toronto, 1 goal, 1 assist. Okay, so just some final thoughts for me to finish it off. I have to say, I was extremely impressed with Calgary. You did a really good job, guys. I know it's quite difficult with the infrastructure to get a date in Scotiabank Saladome, because obviously you've got the Flames are there, the AHL is also there, the Wranglers play My Barracuda as division rivals. There's also other teams like the WHL, for example. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in that Saladome. So the fact that we were lucky to get a game in there, I think, is a huge relief, especially for a market like Calgary that is so deep rich in women's hockey. I mean, I'm actually quite surprised at this point I haven't done episodes on the women's hockey history for each of these markets. I probably should have done by now, but maybe that's something we could look into going into summer. And if Calgary gets in, I can give you Calgary because it's got the Inferno, the Extremes. You know, there's just so the centralization days, the Canada. There's so much history on the women's side that Calgary has got, and I think if Calgary was to get a PHRT, we probably would see them lean on that history and maybe do something to kind of recognise the Inferno. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a team called Blaze in this league, because I could just see that right now. Calgary Blaze. That probably would be. It's not original. I do know that other sports teams have used that name over the years. It's not really original, but it wouldn't surprise me if a PHRT was to come to Calgary. They would want to try and pay tribute to the Inferno, so maybe go with like Blaze, something like that. Would not surprise me one bit. Yeah. I do think Calgary would be the better suited of the two Alberta cities. That's not a diss on Edmonton, but I think Edmonton is more deep rich in men's hockey than it is in women's hockey. And I know Edmonton's tried this year to get those 2 Rivalry Series games back in December. You've had 2 Takeover Tour games. That's going to take your total to 3 overall going at the end and then next week. But I think Calgary might be more better because it's got that rich history in there, and then Edmonton might be somebody you look at in the down the pipeline. I think maybe we'll add them into one day. But I think the promise of Alberta is primed to get a PHLT. The question is it going to be Calgary first? Is it going to be Edmonton first? And then after that, the question is, okay, when does the other city come in? And I do think, like how right now we have our own PHL version of the Battle of Ontario, which is actually a lot more exciting to watch than the AHL's version, we could potentially one day have a PHL version of the Battle of Alberta, which also could then end up being more thrilling than the AHL's Battle of Alberta is right now. And I say that with a really heavy heart, because obviously since Connor McDavid entered the league, you know, I thought that would really give the Battle of Alberta that much needed jolt that it needed, because when I started out, the Battle of Alberta wasn't as exciting as I was made to believe it is. And then McDavid comes in and thought, right, this will give them the jolt, and then it's not really worked out like that, and they've only had one Battle of Alberta in the playoffs since McDavid been in the NHL, so yeah. And of course, obviously they've had outdoor games against one another, but I don't think I've really seen that intense rivalry that I've expected to see from that. So yeah. Plus, the NHL's Battle of Ontario it's just non-existent, but that's largely due to the fact the Sceptres haven't really been competitive a lot. They haven't. So yeah, but it just. Anyway. Yeah, so I personally do think the host... Now that I know there's going to be a brand new arena coming to Calgary in a not too distant future, I actually do now think there's now new ignited hope that you can maybe try and work with the Flames and get that partnership, and then we can go, yeah, we can do what obviously we see in Minnesota, in Newark, and obviously in Seattle, and maybe might be happening in Ottawa, who knows. Yeah, so I think for me, Calgary, if you had to strap me to this chair and ask me to choose of those 2 Alberta cities, who do you want in right now, I would say Calgary. It's not a dig at Edmonton, because of course you guys know you've been my pick for the Stanley Cup for the last 2 seasons now, guys. It's just, I think, I can't ignore that rich history. And given how familiar I am with that rich history that Calgary already has got in the women's game, I can't really ignore that. So that for me was, so I would prefer Calgary getting first and then Edmonton. But we'll see what happens. We do not know what's going to happen with expansion. We do not know for certain. Who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, I would say Calgary. I think for their first go around at it, you did very, very, very well. And another market that manages to pull big crowd on their first go. Again, something Chicago and Dallas didn't do I know a lot of you out there are really bigging up Chicago, but look at their numbers. Look at their numbers just from these 2 games we've had, and compare that to Winnipeg, compare that to Calgary, compare that to Denver. No comparison. No comparison. Especially how Winnipeg and Calgary were 2 first-timers and bagged more than 15,000 people on the first go. Chicago and Dallas didn't do that. No. Anyway, so T.O Takes the Sequel. Oh, what say, Ottawa? Are you feeling best 2 out of 3, maybe? Do I try and go for number 1 to try and get your pride back? We'll see. Because if 1 gets a T, there's nothing to say we can't have the other get another Takeover Tour game. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I was very impressed with Calgary, especially the lengths they went to really make the league feel comfortable. Unfortunately, I'm still whacked by jet lag, so I wasn't really able to pay much notice to your efforts. So, whereas Hamilton's, it was a lot more clearer what they were doing. But yeah, but I think Calgary would be a great addition to the league. But we'll see what happens. So there we go. So that's it. So there's 1 more go in Edmonton. So it's our last 2 Takeover Tour games in Alberta. Alberta gets to close this out for this year. But thank you, Calgary. Next stop, Edmonton.